Sigmund Freud's Moses and Monotheism. Section 1. Moses, his people, and monotheistic religion. Prefatory notes. 1. Written before March 1938, Vienna. With the audacity of one who has little or nothing to lose, I propose to break a well-founded resolution for the second time and to follow up my 2 essays on Moses. In brackets, Imago, BD, 23 Roman numbers, Heft 1 Roman number, and 3 Arabic numeral, with the final part till now withheld. When I finished the last essay, I said I knew full well that my powers would not suffice for the task. I was of course referring to the weakening of the creative faculties which accompanies old age. But there was also another obstacle. We live in very remarkable times. We find with astonishment that progress has concluded an alliance with barbarism. In Soviet Russia, the attempt has been shall guard against doing anything that would serve his interests is more dangerous than the old one, with whom we have learned to live in peace. Psychoanalytic research is in my case the subject of suspicious attention from Catholicism. I do not maintain that this suspicion is unmerited. If our research leads us to a result that reduces religion to the status of neurosis of mankind and explains its grandiose powers in the same way as we should a neurotic obsession in our individual patients, then we may be sure we shall incur in this country the greatest resentment of the powers that be. It is not that I have anything new to say, nothing that I have not clearly expressed a quarter of a century ago. All that, however, has been forgotten, and it would undoubtedly have some effect were I to repeat it now and to illustrate it by an example typical of the way in which religions are founded. It would probably lead to our being forbidden to work in psychoanalysis. Such violent methods of suppression are by no means alien to the Catholic Church. She feels it rather as an intrusion into her privileges when other people resort to the same means. Psychoanalysis, however, which has traveled everywhere during the course of my long life, has not yet found a more serviceable home than in the city where it was born and grew. I do not only think so, I know that this external danger will deter me from publishing that last part of my treatise on Moses. I have tried to remove this obstacle by telling myself that my fear is based on an overestimation of my personal importance, and that the authorities would probably be quite indifferent to what I should have to say about Moses and the origin of monotheistic religions. Yet I do not feel sure that my judgment is correct. It seems to me more likely that malice and an appetite for sensation would make up for the importance I may lack in the eyes of the world. So I shall not publish this essay, but that need not hinder me from writing it. The more so since it was written once before, 2 years ago, and thus only needs rewriting and adding on to the 2 previous essays. Thus it may lie hid until the time comes when it may safely venture into the light of the day, or until someone else who reaches the same opinions and conclusions can be told. Quotation: in darker days there lived a man who thought as you did. End of quotation. Two, John 1938, London. The exceptionally great difficulties which have weighed on me during the composition of this essay, dealing with Moses' inner misgivings as well as external hindrances, are the reason why the third and final part comes to have 2 different prefaces which contradict, indeed even cancel, each other. For in the short interval between writing the 2 prefaces, the outer conditions of the author have radically changed. Formerly, I lived under the protection of the Catholic Church and feared that by publishing the essay, I should lose that protection, and that the practitioners and students of psychoanalysis in Austria would be forbidden their work. Then, suddenly, the German invasion broke in on us, and Catholicism proved to be, as the Bible has it, in quotation marks, but a broken reed, in the certainty of persecution, now not only because of my work, but also because of my race. I left with many friends the city which from early childhood through 78 years had been a home to me. I found the kindliest welcome in the beautiful, free, generous England. Here I live now. I welcome guests. I relieved from that oppression, and happy that I may again speak and write. I almost said think, as I want or have to. I dare now to make public the last part of my essay. There are no more external hindrances, or at least none that need alarm one. In the few weeks of my stay, I have received a large number of greetings from friends who told me how glad they were to see me here, and from people unknown to me, barely interested in my work, who simply expressed their satisfaction that I had found freedom and security here. Besides all this, there came with a frequency bewildering to a foreigner letters of another kind, expressing concern for the weal of my soul, and anxious to point me the way to Christ and to enlighten me about the future of Israel. The good people who wrote thus could not have known much about me. I expect, however, that when this new work of mine becomes known among my new compatriots, I shall lose with my correspondence and a number of the others something of the sympathy they now extend to me. The inner difficulties were not to be changed by the different political system and the new domicile Now as then, I am uneasy when confronted with my own work. I miss the consciousness of unity and intimacy that should exist between the author and his work. This does not mean that I lack conviction in the correctness of my conclusions. That conviction I acquired a quarter of a century ago when I wrote my book on totem and taboo in 1912, and it has only become stronger since. From then on, I have never doubted that religious phenomena are to be understood only on the model of the neurotic symptoms of the individual, which are so familiar to us as a return of long forgotten important happenings in the primeval history of the human family, that they owe their obsessive character to that very origin and therefore drive their effect on mankind from the historical truth they contain. My uncertainty begins only at the point when I ask myself the question whether I have succeeded in proving this for the example of Jewish monotheism chosen here. To my critical faculties, this treatise, proceeding from a study of the man Moses, seemed like a dancer balancing on one toe. If I had not been able to find support in the analytic interpretation of the exposure myth and pass thence to Sellen's suggestion concerning Moses' end, the whole treatise would have to remain unwritten. However, let me proceed. I began by abstracting the results of my second, the purely historical essay on Moses. I shall not examine them critically here, since they form the premises of the psychological discussions which are based on them and which continually revert to them. See you in the next episode. Thank you.